So if you are at all interested in video games, you've probably heard of game engines. But you may not know exactly what they are and how they're used and whether even or not they're necessary. So in this video, we're going to take a broad look at game engines and look at what kind of features you might look for if you're interested in using a game engine to make a video game. So it's not at all necessary to have a game engine to build a game. Game engines are simply allow developers shortcuts in development to save money or time or even personnel. Of course, any game engine will come with its own advantages and disadvantages depending on what it was built for and how it was built and what features it offers and how it is currently supported. So many game engines are basically free to use but have some limits to their usefulness depending on the size or scale or type of platform the game is being developed for. So from here, we will go over a checklist of what to look for in a game engine depending on what your game's goals are or your budget or your development needs. So the first thing on our checklist is going to be is the engine going to be easy for us to learn and use? Developers often turn to video game engines because they make making video games easier. That said, game engines can be complex and difficult to learn to use properly. Some engines have excellent user interfaces, while others focus more on useful features. Ease of use is one of the core reasons a developer would choose to use an engine, but not all engines are designed with the goal of allowing novices to use it. Some engines simply are more complex to use than others. This is because they typically offer more features and the added complexity is unavoidable. Developers should know what their level of competency is in using the engine before selecting it for a project. Okay, next on our checklist is community support. Popular game engines generally have a robust community of users discussing and supporting them. This is a huge benefit to developers because they have resources to ask questions and talk about quirks of the engine. Support communities are invaluable to smaller and inexperienced game developers because they can offer advice and tutorials on maximizing a game's usefulness. They may also share assets, development tricks, and general tips for game makers using that engine. Next up on our checklist is something all developers have to consider, and that is cost. A game's development budget is an immediate consideration for choosing a game engine. Some engines are going to be too expensive for some developers. For example, college students looking to make a game as a hobby are going to want a free engine, while a well-funded studio looking to make a AAA title will want to spend a good chunk of money to receive the features and support they need for a professional release. Today, often, game engine developers will offer special pricing depending on the size of the studio or the game, or the potential of the game's profit expectations. Up next is updates. So the more a developer pays for a game engine, the more they can expect updates and improvements on that engine. Free or nearly free game engines don't always have the same expectations of constant updates. Updates are typically improvements on the engine called for by the development community using it. So if this community is paying for the engine, then the engine developers may have some kind of contract agreement to update the engine on a certain schedule. However, free engines may or may not continue to develop and improve the engine. So let's move on to the asset store. Some game engines offer additional art assets to be purchased for a nominal fee. Now this is a great service to developers who do not have much of an art budget. Now these assets are typically professional in quality, however many different game developers may be purchasing and utilizing the same art asset to use in multiple games. Still, this can be a huge saving on studios' art budgets, and with just a little bit of customization, they can still create original art for much less cost. Next on our checklist is versatility. Game engines are created to be able to help develop many different types of games in many different genres. That said, some are more versatile than others. If a studio is making its first game, it may not need the ability to make 6 other types of games in 6 different genres with the same engine. It might be better to spend less money for less versatility. Other companies may want to develop many different games at once or at least keep their options open for future concepts. In any regard, some versatility is usually part of any game engine. However, the more versatility there is, usually the more expensive the engine will be. Not all game engine terms of agreement include the ability to change the engine's source code. Sometimes the source code is included with the engine usage agreement, and sometimes it is not. Some engines offer the source code for an additional fee, and others never offer the source code for any amount of money at all. Developers need to be sure either the game engine they've purchased as it is will cover all the needs of the game, or they can afford to purchase the rights to change the source code. With the ability to rewrite source code, developers have option to alter or create new features for their games that are not included in the original game engine's capabilities. So this covers our basic checklist, but depending on the developer's needs, there are hundreds of other features game engines can offer. They include tools for rapid prototyping, versatile scripting tools, easy to understand user interactions, and more. Typically, the more complex features an engine offers, the more complex the game engine will be to utilize for game development. Some engines will require some high-level game development skills to use out of the box, while others are more friendly to novices. Choosing the best engine is a matter of finding which one fits the project, the budget, and in particular, the personnel that will be using it.